A quarter century ago, back when every major publisher was expected to have a cutesy mascot character, Electronic Arts scraped to the bottom of the barrel to give us a robot named Bob. This little guy may have had big, expressive eyes and a funky name in Japan, but the terrible gameplay and the bad reviews doomed his chances of becoming the next Mario or Sonic. For most of my life, I've assumed that Bob was just gonna be the worst robot-centric 2D platformer I would ever play. But that was before I got my hands on Shiny, an atrocious new PlayStation 4 game that somehow manages to screw up every single thing that makes platformers fun. Originally released on PC and Xbox One, Shiny has finally made the leap to PlayStation 4. This side-scrolling platformer tells the story of a worker robot named Kramer 227 who's been left to fend for himself after mankind abandoned their dying planet. It's Kramer's job to race through 20 challenging stages in order to harvest energy and rescue his robotic friends. If he can do that, he'll be able to save himself and everybody else from certain doom. I'm not gonna lie, this game baffled me right from the start. We discover that the power's been turned down and Kramer's robot friends have all been deactivated, which you would think would lead to Kramer diagnosing the problem and taking the right course of action. But instead what he does is he jams his robot arms into the circuit board and he wiggles them around until he gets electrocuted. He wakes up with a shiny glow that allows him to literally resurrect the dead robots that litter the planet. It's really just a lazy superhero origin story. What this leads to is a surprisingly inept side-scrolling platformer that manages to get all of the fundamentals wrong. Forget the stupid setup, because the real problem is that Kramer is barely controllable. He has loose controls and just kinda slides around the stage, a deadly combination when dealing with the tough platforming challenges. And this is only made worse by the occasionally laggy input and the way you'll just sometimes fail to jump for no reason. And just to be sadistic, the game will occasionally set our hero on fire. The good news is that you can cool the robot off by mashing the shoulder buttons, but this just means that you're going to be hammering the L2 and R2 button when dealing with the already loose gameplay. It's a recipe for disaster that is every bit as frustrating as it sounds. This is one of the worst 2D platformers I've ever played. And it's not just the slippery handling and the forgettable hero, but also the way the levels range from bland to boring. These are ugly stages with predictable paths filled with frustrating obstacles. Even the bright and cheery stages are dark and gloomy, the kind of depressing backgrounds that made me desperately want to escape. And they're poorly constructed too. The designs are filled with annoying low ceilings, narrow paths, and obstacles that require a lot of feeling and memorization. It doesn't help that the camera's pushed too far in, making it easy to miss simple platforms. And even if you do see the platform, the loose control almost assures that you're just going to end up falling down a bottomless pit instead of nailing that jump. It's the worst! Oh, and the sound effects suck. I know that it probably seemed like I'm nitpicking at this point, but the bleeps and bloops are completely out of place in Shiny. The truth is, I didn't like much of the game's presentation, both from a visual and an oral perspective. The cinema at the start is pretty good, I guess, but the rest of the game just looks like an upscaled port of a 15-year-old PlayStation 2 game. There will be times when the action is completely obstructed by something in the foreground, and the fact that I couldn't tell if this was a stylistic choice or a programming mistake is just another one of the many things wrong with Shiny. Now, perhaps the game's biggest sin is that it never bothers to make you care about Kramer. The fact that he can literally resurrect robots from the dead like some religious figure or something is a great start to the character, but they don't really do anything with it. Those saved robots don't help Kramer, and the story doesn't really give him any defining characteristics. He's not aggressive, or shy, or sarcastic. He's just a robot that clearly wasn't designed for 2D platforming. At least Electronic Arts gave us a reason to care about Bob. When I play a game like Shiny, I worry that there's going to be a whole generation of gamers that grow up thinking that this is how a 2D platformer is supposed to play. With loose controls, disastrously boring level designs, and sound effects that'll annoy you every step of the way. This is a side-scrolling throwback that makes one horrible decision after another. I hate to say it, but Shiny is yet another example of why robots and 2D platformers do not mix. Hey, thanks for watching our review. So here's the question of the day. Who is your least favorite mascot character? And when I say mascot character, it doesn't have to be a character that actually became the company's mascot. I'm really just talking about a cute platformer hero. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. So this is the 6th review we've posted this week, and the 7th video overall. We'll be back tomorrow with one more review. Then it's off to a much needed weekend. I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,